What's up, everybody? It's Jason Cruz once again here for the legal submission. We are going to take another look at a compelling legal case in the world of combat sports. This time we're talking about boxing, the world of boxing, where JoJo Diaz is an up-and-coming former Olympian and current IBF super featherweight title holder. And he has sued his manager, Moses Heredia, and in turn, Heredia has sued his JoJo Diaz's new advisors at MTK Global. In addition, Diaz has sued promoters Golden Boy Boxing and personally Daniel Kinahan, which for some may know is tied toward organized crime in Ireland. Well, let's take you first to the lawsuit filed by JoJo Diaz in San Bernardino State Court. The lawsuit was filed by JoJo Diaz in November of 2020 in San Bernardino, in which he claimed violations of the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act, as well as fraud and other breaches of fiduciary duties upon Heredia. Now, the interesting thing about this is JoJo Diaz's manager at the time was Ralph Heredia, and Diaz claims that on the paperwork, the manager-fighter paperwork that needs to be submitted to the California State Athletic Commission to determine manager, the half-brother of Ralph Heredia, Moses Heredia, was listed as the actual boxing manager. Diaz in the complaint alleges that it was due to the fact that Ralph Heredia went by a former name, and that former alias was convicted of a crime in which he alleged that he was convicted of a crime in which in which he was a part of a group that attempted to extort a former LA Rams football player. Subsequently, Ralph Heredia was convicted of that particular crime, and one thing led to and as a result of that crime, Heredia believed that he could not obtain a manager's license through the California State Athletic Commission because a vetting of Heredia's criminal history would have flagged this particular incident regarding the Rams football player. So despite the claims by Diaz of a prior history, he still maintained the manager-boxer relationship. However, in the complaint, he lists at least three issues in which Ralph Heredia, or Moses Heredia, made improper, in which Ralph Heredia and Moses Heredia made violations of the Ali Act and utilized their status as Heredia's manager as a way to get in with the promoter of Golden Boy Boxing, as well as take benefits from utilizing Diaz's status as a boxer, and also a car loan scam as well. So let's take these one by one. So the first issue that Diaz claimed in the lawsuit, in addition to the fact that the half-brother signed on behalf of Ralph, was the fact that Heredia wanted to maintain a relationship with Golden Boy Boxing, the promoter of Diaz. And as the manager, Heredia as the boxing manager, Heredia had a fiduciary duty for Diaz to negotiate in good faith with the boxer's promoter, Golden Boy Boxing. According to Diaz, he indicated that Golden Boy and that Heredia did not negotiate vigorously with Golden Boy on Diaz's behalf. And the reason why, according to the complaint, is that if he bargained too hard with Golden Boy for Diaz, it would hurt him with his other clients. So you could see the argument that Heredia was looking out for his own interest, in that he had a stable of fighters, or was building a stable of fighters, and was utilizing the relationships he was forging through the Diaz promotion to promote other of his own stable of boxers. And this is one of the reasons why the Ali Act is out there, is for managers to have a fiduciary duty on behalf of its boxers and negotiate in good faith on behalf of the boxer, and not work in conjunction with the promoter per se. More along the lines is when, if you're negotiating a contract, you're advocating for the best interests of your particular client, and not just to appease a promoter you will have a long-term business relationship with, or hope to have a long-term business relation with. So there was that issue. The second issue was a very interesting one with respect to a car loan. Now, as it goes in the complaint, Heredia says Diaz says that Heredia stole money from him as a result of a car loan purchase in October of 2019. Heredia purchased a 2016 Lexus, and for Diaz's benefit agreed to make an auto loan to Diaz until Diaz could pay it off. Seems a little sketchy from the outset when you read that, because at this point Diaz was making money as a boxer and could probably have made a payment himself for a car, or gotten a lease, or purchased his own car. So the parties agreed that Diaz would pay through Heredia and wouldn't have to deal with, I guess, a car loan, and maybe not deal with an APR, a percentage of paying monthly payments. And the vehicle from that Heredia would credit Diaz from his boxing proceeds, in addition to the contractual manager's fee. So after one particular bout, Diaz paid Heredia $25,000 toward the vehicle. Heredia accepted the money, and Diaz also paid $4,000 to have the vehicle custom trimmed out. And so the issue here is that Diaz claims that Heredia had the car repossessed. And the fact that there was $29,000 that Heredia had placed out there and lost, essentially, because the car was repossessed, Diaz is claiming was fraudulent and essentially a conversion, a stealing of the funds. Essentially, Heredia loaned Diaz the money, and Diaz lost out on that money because the car was taken away. Now, of course, one has to suspect, why didn't Diaz just pay off the loan, or pay off the repo company? Those are questions that probably will come out in discovery. So the third issue, the second issue, was one with respect to a raise that Heredia gave himself out of Diaz's contract. So what transpired was that Heredia asked for a raise of 18% of the manager fee to 20% of the manager fee, and Diaz disputes that. So there's that one, and then the final one is that the Gennady Golovkin Canelo Alvarez fight, Heredia requested comp tickets for the fight. Now, that's not out of the ordinary. The issue that Diaz had is he was not the one going with Heredia. And so Diaz argues that Heredia utilized Diaz's status as a boxer promoted by Golden Boy to obtain tickets for his own self-interest. So there's that issue. And around this time frame, MTK Global was trying to make inroads with fighters here in the United States and trying to boost its stable of fighters. Notably, Tyson Fury is associated with MTK Global. One of the issues that has come up along the way is the fact that MTK Global is either owned or used to be owned or is associated with Daniel Kinahan, who, as many people know that follow boxing, is in an organized crime group, or allegedly is in an organized crime group. And so the lawsuit that was filed by Heredia, Moses Heredia, in federal court in California, was one that claimed civil RICO charges against MTK Global and Kinahan. The issue straight away was the fact that Heredia claims that MTK Global interfered with their boxers' contractual relationship, meaning that MTK Global had come along and allegedly, according to Heredia's complaint, gave Diaz $100,000 to be their advisor or advise Diaz. And as a part of that, MTK Global told them not to speak with Heredia anymore. And Heredia still has a contract to be the manager of Diaz, apparently. And he claims that this drove a wedge between fighter and manager. Now, obviously, you can infer that perhaps Diaz was looking to fire Heredia anyway, if you believe the contents of Diaz's complaint, but there is still an issue with respect to whether or not MTK Global drove a wedge between fighter and manager. Now, the issue is not one that is unique to the sport of boxing or any sport for that matter. Managers and fighters have a special relationship, and obviously there's only a certain amount of fighters that are out there that are profitable. And what you find is that there are managers that will recruit fighters that are currently managed, and you see that in the sport of boxing, MMA, even the traditional sports of football, basketball, baseball, where other agents or agencies will recruit players and basically drive a wedge between their player, the player that has a manager, and insert themselves in the mix. And that could be a variety of things, whether or not the athlete is disenchanted with the current management, or maybe it's that he receives $100,000 and is willing to move to another advisory agency or management company. So there's that issue. The RICO complaints tends to highlight the organized crime component of MTK Global, in the fact that there is a definite inference that the proceeds from organized crime is being used to bolster and promote the MTK Global company. Whether or not that's true is something that might come out in discovery. It might not at all. It might just be a red herring. The fact that there is organized crime on the part of of MTK Global or alleged organized crime. That will be an interesting thing to follow in this lawsuit. So Diaz was given $100,000 according to Heredia to become an advisor. Then they told Diaz to stop talking to Heredia. Heredia cites that a law firm, the law firm that filed a complaint on behalf of Diaz, told him not to talk to Heredia anymore. In addition, Heredia also inserts a claim stating that that his other boxer, Luis Feliciano, was being contacted by Golden Boy Boxing, which is weird because this isn't here nor there regarding Diaz, but Feliciano was being contacted by Golden Boy Boxing. Heredia said to stop talking to my fighter, but apparently that continued, and a claim against Golden Boy Boxing is seen here in this federal complaint. So what to make of all of this? Well, it's one thing. The combat sports industry is full of colorful characters, and the fact that there is organized crime or accusations of criminals in this sport is not surprising. The lawsuit filed by Diaz claims that his manager was a convicted felon. The response lawsuit by Heredia claims that the advisors, or the firm that owns the advisory firm, the individual that owns the advisory firm, is an organized criminal in Ireland. Does any of that have any relevancy in this particular lawsuit? We will see. It does look to me to be a lawsuit that boils down to a fight over the asset of which is a young boxer and the boxer's future. If we are to believe the Diaz complaint, appears he was used in certain ways by his manager. And if we believe the Heredia complaint against MTK Global and Daniel Kinahan and the Golden Boy, it's a manager seeking to hold on to his client who is being wined and dined and entertained by a new company out there. Is any of this legal? Are there any legal claims? Did anyone breach a contract? It's hard to say. It's really just hard to say at this point. One thing is interesting is that Diaz himself, the boxer, in the middle of all this, was not sued at all. Was not sued by Heredia for a breach of contract or anything of that matter. And that's maybe because Heredia wants to keep Diaz in his own stable. It's a tough road to be a sports manager out there in boxing, one could say, out of all of this. So as far as what Diaz is claiming, he's claiming he wants to be made whole from at least the $29,000 that he lost in the auto loan, and he also wants an accounting of figures related to his management relationship with Heredia, meaning, was the raise from 18% to 20%, was that allowable? Did he violate the Ali Act in any way throughout their management relationship? Those are some issues. With respect to Heredia's lawsuit against MTK Global, well, was there any wrongdoing with the purported gift of $100,000 to Diaz from MTK Global? Were there any issues related to what MTK Global did in becoming Diaz's advisor? These are things we will see. Once again, this is Jason Cruz with MMA Payouts, the legal submission. We'll have more of this in the coming new year While you're here, if you could please subscribe to the YouTube channel, that would be great. If you're listening on SoundCloud, give it a like. Again, Jason Cruz, we'll have a good one. Happy New Year. We'll see you later.